BMO Field /ʻbiːmoʊ is a sports stadium located in Exhibition Place in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The open-air structure can seat up to 30,991 spectators in its standard configuration for soccer, and approximately 25,000 in its Canadian football configuration. It is owned by the City of Toronto and managed by Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Built on the site of the former Exhibition Stadium, it opened on April 28, 2007, where the Kansas City Wizards beat home team Toronto FC 1-0 circumflex 0 in Major League Soccer. The Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League are scheduled to move into the stadium for the 2016 season. The stadium is called the National Soccer Stadium when it hosts FIFA events, and was referred to as Exhibition Stadium during the 2015 Pan American Games. It hosted the 2007 FIFA U-20 World Cup and the 2014 FIFA U-20 Women's World Cup. It also hosted the MLS Cup 2010 on November 21, 2010. BMO Field is the fifth stadium to be built at its exact location at Exhibition Place. The most recent was Exhibition Stadium, which lost its primary tenants, the Toronto Argonauts of the Canadian Football League and Toronto Blue Jays of Major League Baseball, with the opening in 1989 of Skydome. Exhibition Stadium was demolished in 1999. The Argonauts submitted a proposal to the city to construct a new 22,000-seat stadium at Exhibition Place in March 2003. That July, the Canadian Soccer Association announced separate plans for a 30,000-seat $82 million stadium at the site to host the 2007 FIFA U-20 World Cup, which it had bid on. The governments of Canada and Ontario agreed to provide a combined $35 million in funding for a new stadium if the CSA was successful in acquiring the rights to the tournament. At the time, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, owners of the National Hockey League's Toronto Maple Leafs and the National Basketball Association's Toronto Raptors, was also looking for a stadium to host a new Major League Soccer team they were considering launching. The league considered soccer-specific stadiums to be necessary for an expansion franchise to be granted, due to the improved atmosphere and control of revenue streams. The Argonauts, CSA and MLS agreed to partner to build a new 25,000-seat, $80 million varsity stadium at the University of Toronto. Aside from the committed government funding, $15 million was to come from the UFT, which would own the stadium, and a $30 million loan would be taken out by the university, with the annual $2.1 million financing charges paid by the Argus. However, MLS backed out of the stadium due to a lack of financial return, and the deal ultimately fell through in 2004, when the university's new president withdrew his support after its cost rose over $100 million. Later that year, the Argus and CSA announced plans to build a 25,000-seat, $70 million stadium at York University, which would contribute the land and $15 million, with the Argus adding $20 million to the government funding. MLS was not involved in this project. However, the Argus pulled out of the stadium after signing a new 15-year lease at Rogers Centre with significantly reduced rent. In 2005, the stadium site was moved back to Exhibition Place, on the location of the demolished Exhibition Stadium and then existing Sports Hall of Fame building, in a partnership between MLS and the CSA. With the total costs of $62.9 million to build the stadium, financial contributions came from multiple sources. The Canadian federal government contributed $27 million, the government of Ontario added an additional $8 million, and the City of Toronto paid $9.8 million and contributed the land for the project, while retaining ownership of the stadium. MLS contributed $8 million towards construction costs, and was responsible for any cost overruns. In return, they got the management rights for the stadium. MLS committed to purchase a MLS soccer team to play in the stadium. The remaining funds came from MLSE, which paid $10 million for the naming rights of the stadium for the duration of the 20-year management agreement, which they later resold to the Bank of Montreal for $27 million over the first 10 years. The deal called for the stadium to be named BMO Field, after the ticker symbol of the Bank of Montreal, though it was referred to under the National Soccer Stadium name and official references to the FIFA U-20 World Cup, as non-FIFA supporting sponsors were not permitted.